Okay, so on this problem, they're giving us a function f of x equals x plus 1 over x plus 6, and they want us to find f inverse. Remember that negative 1 power there means inverse, f inverse of negative 10. So in other words, they want us to step 1, find the inverse function, and then step 2, plug into the inverse function, x equals negative 10, right? That's what they're saying. All right, so let's do step 1. Step 1, find the inverse function. How do we find an inverse function? Well, that itself has 2 steps. A, switch or invert x and y. You know, this is f of x out here, that's your y. So right now it's y equals x plus 1 over x plus 6. And so we're going to switch those guys, right? The x's are going to become y's, the y's are going to become x's. So like this. So that's step 1. Switch or invert x and y. That's what an inverse, that's how you find an inverse function. You invert x and y. All right, and then part B, solve for y, get y alone. So, okay, how do I do it? How do I solve for y? When you have a fraction, you put this over 1 and you cross multiply. So you get x times y plus 6 is 1 times y plus 1, like that. Cross multiply and distribute. Xy plus 6x equals 1y plus 1, like that. And so now we got to solve for y. But notice something, y is in this term and in this term. So when we're trying to get y alone, right, solve for y. When y is in 2 places, in, well, two terms, let's say, y is in 2 terms, get those 2 terms on the same side. With those 2 terms on the same side, so jump this guy this way and this guy this way. Or you could do vice versa, it doesn't really matter. However you do it. So it becomes xy minus 1y is minus 6x plus 1. Hold on. I hope that wasn't too quick. Do you notice when things jump to the other side of the equal sign? Yeah, let me make that more clear. I don't want that just to be like a magic trick. So there's the wall of separation, right? The equal sign. So I put that wall just to make it clear. Here's the equal sign, right? This is the left side, right side, left side, right side. So basically, when something jumps to the other side of the equal sign like this, 1y jumped over, it becomes negative 1y. It switches signs. Why? Why does it switch signs? Well, because really what you're doing is you're going minus 1y from both sides. So here, let me do that better. Let's put it right here. So really what I did is I did minus 1y from both sides. You do the opposite, right? It goes out and it becomes minus 1y on the left side. And then how did I get rid of the 6x? Same thing. It's a plus 6x, so I did minus 6x from both sides, and it's gone from here, and it shows up as a minus 6 over there. But just to save time, you can just jump it, and it just switches signs. Does that make sense? You can see that it's really just the formal step. All right, I've talked it enough. Let's keep moving. So now, so first off that, then factor out the y. So take out the y here. It's x minus 1. That's called factoring, right? No, that's just reverse distribution. If that y was to multiply back in, it would go right back, right? So factor out y and divide, right? So then you can just go divide by x minus 1, divide by x minus 1, boom, boom. We got y alone. We solved for y. So down here, y is all alone. What does it equal? Well, it equals minus 6x plus 1 over x minus 1. So that's all just step 1. That's all part of step 1, which is what? Find f inverse of x. Let me do a better job on that. There we go. That's all step 1. as it says right here, find f inverse of x. So I did all this step. I switched x and y. I solved for y with all these mathematical steps, and boom. So that's f inverse. That's really f inverse of x. I know we call it y here, but it's f inverse because it came from inverting x and y, didn't it? So minus 6x plus 1 over x plus 1. That's f inverse. Okay, so now step 2. Because what do they want? What do they want us to actually do? Plug in x equals negative 10. Because in order to find, find f inverse of negative 10, because that was the original question, right? Right up here, right? Find f inverse of negative 10. Right, that's what it says, f inverse of negative 10. So we found the f inverse function. Now plug into it negative 10. So that'll equal, so f inverse of negative 10, right? Plug in for x, negative 10. Plug in for x, negative 10. And so we're going to plug that in, and it's going to be minus 6 blank plus 1 blank minus 1. And so I'm plugging in negative 10 here, negative 10 there, in both steps, both places. And we come on down, we work that out, and we've got 60 plus 1, because there's 2 negatives here. Make positive, and this is minus 10 minus 1, so minus 11. So that's 61 over minus 11. I believe they want a decimal. They might take a fraction as well. I don't know. Here, here's the decimal. I'm getting negative 5 point, I'm scribbling that up, 5454, etc. like that. So you might be able to give them a fraction or decimal. I'm not sure. For sure, they'll take the decimal. I know that much. And so there's the answer. So that's how we do it. Let me recap real quick. So when they ask you for, they give you a function, they say we want the inverse of negative 10. Then you got to step 1, do all the work to get the inverse function, which is inverting x and y and solving for y. Invert x and y, solve for y. We did all that, got the inverse function. And then they say, okay, but we don't just want the inverse function. We want the inverse function at negative 10. So you plug in negative 10, work it out, use your I just did the calculator, just divided those in the calculator, and we get the answer. And so there we go.